Oh, give me 1 second just to start YouTube. Are you with us? Okay, cool. All right. Hello. Hello. Hello, standing. Hello, mage. Hello, everyone. Hello, lurkers and VOD watchers. I'm sorry I'm late. I hate starting the streams late, but I need a little extra time because I had another crash this evening while I was getting everything set up. So I went ahead and reinstalled my graphics drivers, even though I think that doesn't do anything. Got everything up and going a second time. Made sure everything is working as intended. And I did not swap out the power supply this weekend. Things had been running stably enough that I was thinking, well, maybe we can just let it go. We can let it run and see if the other things that I did was enough. And the answer is no, they were not. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, I guess. See if that magically helps. It's really frustrating because there's a program, a tool in Windows called the reliability indicator or something to that effect. Reliability history, which shows this nice little graph, basically charting how frequently your computer does something bad, right? Something crashes, something breaks, etc. And when this started back in here, let me pull it up because I can actually sort of trace the dates where this was happening. So yeah, this basically started in mid-March. The oldest logs that it records. Yeah, so I seem to start getting hardware errors around the 23rd. And then we got through about a week and a half without any issues. And then we had some errors crop up on the 7th. And then we went through about a week. And then we had more on the 17th. And then we had some today. So it's like, I'll do something and I'll try and fix it. And it's good for a week and a half. And then it comes back. And I have no idea why. I don't know. And as much as I can't rule anything out, it seems weird to me that, like, if it were a power supply issue, I feel like it would not be occurring like once every 5 to 10 days. I feel like that would be a more frequent occurrence. And if it were something that were failing, I feel like it would be failing more and more frequently as the system wears out. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm really tired of this. I'm not going to throw out the entire computer because that feels like the nuclear option. That's exterminatus level solutions. But yeah, I don't know. The other thing that I was looking at as a consequence of all this, right? I was looking at possibly getting a sort of a second computer, right, to run the stream off of. So OBS and VTube Studio and Mix It Up and all of those things would be running on the second computer. And then receiving capture data from my desktop, which would be doing all of the heavy lifting, right? Would be playing games, running Unreal Engine, probably still running Clip Studio Paint. I feel like we would just have most of the actual workload running off of the desktop, and then the second computer is just the stream interface, if you will. Yeah. So the two advantages, they are nice. The two advantages are one, the desktop is not straining to do VTube Studio and the stream encoding and all of that and run the game, right? The whole reason that we upgraded the computer was because way back when we wanted to play Kena, I could get the computer to play Kena Bridge of Spirits without any issues. But if I wanted to play the game on stream, it couldn't keep up with that. So we ended up upgrading the computer, and yeah, it was worth it. It was good. But definitely like trying to stream a game is basically especially a modern game, is the real stress test of most systems these days. And I do feel like streamers are kind of pushing for better and better tech even more than most users are. So I was looking at getting a Steam Deck for that purpose. Steam Decks have been very popular. A lot of people that I've talked to have really liked the Steam Deck, and it seemed like, a good sort of stone to hit multiple birds that I was looking at, right? I could use it as the stream machine. I could use it as a portable computer to take with me when I go traveling. Will Steam Deck be better than just getting a laptop? Yes and no, and I'll get to that. The problem that I realized with a Steam Deck is the Steam Deck runs SteamOS, which is a branch of Linux. And a lot of what I see is that for what it is intended to do, right, which is be a gaming platform, a platform to connect to your Steam library and play games. And it doesn't technically run every game in your Steam library because, again, it effectively needs to be Windows compatible, or SteamOS needs to be able to sort of run the interface with the Windows compatibility. And not every game will. But it does seem to be very effective for the games that it does run. The interface is very nice. It is an interface that is custom built for a system with a 7-inch display. So, it knows what size it's dealing with, and it handles that very well. Since the Steam Deck came out, a number of other companies have sort of jumped into the ring of this like handheld gaming computer device. At present, Steam Deck is the only one to use SteamOS, but the Lenovo currently only runs on Windows 11, but they are developing a cheaper, less powerful version that is going to run SteamOS. The Asus one runs Windows, MSI runs Windows, and a lot of what I am seeing is, there's kind of trade-offs with all of them, right? Some are cheaper, some are more powerful, some of them are a little bit heavier or have a better battery life, all kind of like look at the different values and weigh your pros and cons. Hey Tech, how's your day going? How you doing? But sort of my initial plan was to get a Steam Deck. I'm EP. I feel that. I am not EP, but I am tired. I'm very tired. I'm so sick of this. Well, I hope it's a good EP. I hope you've had a good day. So initially I was looking around. It's like, okay, I see people are able to get a stream up and going on the Steam Deck, right? They can install OBS attach some peripherals, typically through the dock, and get the whole thing going, right? It's like, okay, so that works. VTube Studio and VBridger are on Steam, so it is not 100% guaranteed, again, that because they are on Steam means that the Steam Deck would be able to run it, but good chance, right? Technically possible. Would need to confirm it, but good chance. Okay, cool. What about Mix It Up? What about Tits? What about the audio plugin that I use for my headphone visualizer? Right? You see where I'm going with all this. It's like, it's not just, 2 or 3 programs. There's actually quite a bit of stuff that I run in the process of getting these streams to work every day, right? There's quite a few programs, and not all of them are going to be Linux compatible, which means they won't work on SteamOS. And so I was kind of looking at the Steam Deck going, oh, I don't think this is going to work. And I know some people will do a thing where they either dual boot to, like, they'll set up a copy of Windows on the Steam Deck and have something to allow for dual booting. I saw one thing where you can install Windows to an external hard drive and plug it into the Steam Deck when you want to have Windows available, and then you just unplug the drive, shut the Steam Deck down and then unplug the drive, and it'll boot to SteamOS instead, right? That is an option. But in sort of looking at all this, I was thinking, okay, but there are these handheld devices that natively run Windows. And for what I want it to be, one of those is probably going to be better. The big complaint that I see about all the ones that run Windows is that Windows 11 is a really shit operating system for this profile of machine. What's really funny is if you guys think back a ways to Windows 8, remember how Microsoft wanted Windows 8 to be the everything operating system? Like, it was going to be the single OS that would work on desktops, tablets, laptops, phones, right? And it would have a sort of universal interface that could just sort of work for all of those different programs, or all those different platforms, all those different sizes. And people said, this is shit. We hate this. Stop doing it. And Windows said, okay, here's Windows 10. And they rolled it back to something that behaved a lot more like Windows 7. And there was much rejoicing. And now we have Windows 11, which, yeah, I mean, it has its own problems. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't seem to have any setup to accommodate for smaller interfaces like these handhelds have. And so the icons and the text size and the interface is like built for a screen that is at least 5 inches bigger than what these are typically. Most of the handhelds are like 7 to 8 inch screens, and so everything is just super PPL on them, and you can't see shit. So that seems to be the biggest complaint with all of them. A lot of the like hardware and performance arguments are pretty back and forth. People really like the Steam Deck OLED screen. Like, OLED is just the best kind of screen you can get from what I see. Like, it is the brightest, it is the most colorful, it is the most vibrant, and it is the most glare resistant. And no one else, aside from Switch, has put an OLED screen in their device. So that's definitely an advantage for the Steam Deck. But aside from that, everything else is kind of back and forth. a lot of the other machines actually perform technically better than the Steam Deck does in terms of like frame rate or processing power. I think Steam Deck kind of has better battery life, but I'd have it plugged in a lot of the time anyway, so that's kind of not a huge argument to me. So, given everything that I've been looking at over the last couple of days, what I'm thinking of getting is the Asus one, which is Windows 11. I know, it's Windows 11. One of the first things I would need to do is go in and figure out how to shut down Copilot and all the other bullshit that I don't care about and I don't want, right? Get it as like low resource consumption as I possibly can. So there's going to be some of that, but you know, a lot of the reviews, a lot of the considerations and comparisons are like, how well do these handhelds game, right? I don't really care about how well it can game. I care about how well it can be a portable computer. Which, I'll now circle back around to your question, Standing. Would a Steam Deck be better than just getting a laptop? And that's a good question. Because some of these are getting up in price, right? Like Lenovo's and MSI's are getting up into the point where some of the reviewers were like, yeah, you're starting to talk about gaming laptop territory. And so I took a brief look and I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I should just bite the bullet and get a laptop again and say screw it. Admittedly, it would be the third laptop that I've gotten. And like I've said before, high-performance laptops have pretty much always been a disappointment to me. I've never been impressed by them. I have never found them to perform as well as they advertise being able to do. And even if they can, they seem to wear themselves out pretty quickly, right? So, but you know, I was like, all right, you know, fair consideration. Let's look at it. Let's look at what they got. Let's look at the possibility, right? I'm not a huge laptop fan myself. I don't like chiclet keyboards. Like it's an option, right? So I consider the option. So the Steam Deck, what's the Steam Deck? The Steam Deck is like $600. The Steam Deck OLED is like $600 or so, right? It becomes sort of a race of like, this one's $600, this one's $700. I think the most expensive of the handhelds was like getting up towards $900, right? Which is not cheap. It's not cheap, but you know, that was sort of the range that we were looking at. You know, anywhere from like the $500 to $900 range, depending on, you know, if you want to get one of the older models versus cutting edge, etc. A brief look at gaming laptops told me that $900 was the cheapest I was going to find. Pretty much everything was upwards of $1,200. And I was like, oh, okay, well, never mind. I was like, no, that's not worth it. I didn't expect to get a substantially better experience out of a gaming laptop or a performance laptop. And don't even get me started on artists' laptop or, you know, designers' laptops, because those were like over $2,000. It's like, oh, you're some kind of bespoke artist and you want to have a bespoke laptop to do your art on? Pay us. It's like, dude, artists are starving. What the fuck are you doing? Artists can't pay that much. Fuck you. So, I feel like the handheld is still going to be sort of the best overall balance, right? And even the highest performing ones are still struggling to play the nice games, the new cutting edge, resource expensive games very well at all. You know, the Steam Deck is like, we can play Cyberpunk. It's like, yeah, you can play it at like maybe 20 FPS. You can technically open the game and it won't set the Steam Deck on fire. So yes, congratulations, that is progress, kind of. But so, you know, I don't need it to be the most performant. I don't need it to match the strength of my desktop, right? I need it to be able to run the stream and receive information from the desktop and maybe be able to do like Clip Studio Paint and some other stuff, right? I need to be able to plug peripherals into it and it can sort of work as the thinking hub of wherever I want to set up my station. So yeah, from what I have seen, the Asus one is probably going to be the best bet. I think it's going to be the best balance, and I can get it from Best Buy like new. Like I can get the excellent open box, and they knock like $150 off of it last time I checked. So I feel like that's the way to go. I'm gonna do a little more research, and I'm gonna try and, you know, make a informed, satisfied decision before I buy anything. But that's what I'm looking at doing right now. And then yeah, we would figure out how to get the dual PC setup going, because I don't know what's wrong with my computer. I don't know. Does OpenBox have warranty? That's a good question. I'll have to double check that. I'm pretty sure the warranty would be through the retailer rather than through the manufacturer. And the retail or the warranty at that point would just be, if it's not working, bring it back and we'll give you another one or something. But that is a good point. That is something to be careful about. Yeah, that's something to be careful of. Good call, good catch. That might be why they're willing to knock the money off. I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget it. Let's see. But yeah, I don't know. The thing that is so frustrating about the graphics card, about the crashes, is I see so many people saying that they have this issue, right? They have the same codes popping up, the same errors, the same behavior. Wildly different systems. I have seen, you know, reports of this going all the way back to 10 series graphics cards, like 8 or 9 years ago. So it's like, this has been an ongoing thing, and I don't understand what's causing it. I've seen people with these massive lists of like, here are all the steps that I have taken to try and fix it. And nothing has worked, and nobody seems to have an answer for it. Don't like open boxing using because of that. I don't know how much the previous owner used or abused it, because I always bought used phones for her. She got from a family member, and the phone always break after a while. Definitely a concern. Definitely something to be cautious of. You know, Best Buy says the excellent quote unquote open box is, you know, it's new, it's you know, refurbished, reset, and there's like basically, you know, like maybe it's missing some peripherals or something, and they had to replace it with a generic something or other, and it's open box. Yeah, I don't know. You are right. You are definitely right. Like, and I would be happiest if I could see it before I said no. This is good. I feel like this will work. Um, and if I can't, then yeah, maybe I should just pay the extra money to get a new one. Now, of course, sometimes you get a new one straight from the factory and it's broken right out of the box, so you never know. Yeah, it just needs a motherboard and some thumbsticks and power cable and a battery, and you're good. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with this damn thing. I think I feel like I'm passing through the stages of grief because last week I was mad. I was very mad, and now I feel like I'm just depressed. Yeah, well, and see, this is the problem too, as one of the obvious steps that I would go through right now would be to RMA my graphics card, right? Call the warranty, MSI, take this shit, fix it, or send me a new one. And I've seen comments of people saying that they did RMA their card and they got it back, and it kept happening, right? At this point, and it's super weird because the reliability monitor, I'm sorry I'm talking about this for so long, but it's frustrating and has been taking up a lot of my thought process for the past month. The reliability thing says it was a hardware error. I don't think it's hardware. I think it's how the software is interacting with each other. I think it's some weird way that everything is communicating or failing to communicate, which is causing the system to like freak out. What I think is happening, what might be happening, I have no idea what to do with this information. I think there is something in the graphics bus, the buffer, the queue. I don't know what exactly I would call it, right? The order of things that the graphics card is tasked with doing that hangs, right? It gets stuck, and what the system seems to have pre-designed to do is if the task backs up and can't complete for 2 seconds, it just flushes the entire system and does a reset. The entire graphics cache just is like, nuke it, start over. And I think that's what the cut to black is the driver going, we've got a 2-second hang here, stop everything and restart it. That's what I understand is happening. Which is really weird because I don't notice a 2-second hang before the screen cuts to black. So it's like, it's not that the entire display is hanging for 2 seconds. It's that something open or something going on at the same time hangs for 2 seconds, and then that failure causes the entire thing to shut down. I have no idea what that is. It's not, I don't think it's tied to a singular program because I've had, unless it's Chrome. Wouldn't be impossible. Chrome's kind of shit. I did turn off hardware acceleration for Chrome though, so that I don't know. Let's get to drawing. We can keep talking about this, but we got a portrait to finish, and I'm just being mad at this point. Could you go over there? So you've had it where your graphics, like your screens, all just cut to black and die for a little bit, and then it comes back, right? Something to that effect. Because I don't know if I've ever had a behavior exactly like this. I've had, obviously, computer issues in the past. I don't know that I've had this particular issue happen. I'm just gonna add a little bit of temperature. I feel like it's a teensy bit too pale. A little too pale. I'm just gonna set this to multiply at 50%. 40 looks better. I don't know if it could be Chrome, but every time it happened to me, the screen freezes while trying to hover the mouse and everything start getting black wallpaper and shit. Yeah, very similar to that. And like the screens will flicker a little bit. Everything's sort of like trying to recover. It's trying to figure itself out, and it's really struggling to do it. And in most cases, I do have it that the driver does eventually recover, right? I have had one or two instances where the machine would ultimately, it wouldn't be able to figure it out, and it blue screened, which it couldn't show me because the graphics driver was dead, but the computer would restart on its own and it would record a crash log and everything. NVIDIA. I use NVIDIA. I almost wonder, like, if it would work to put out a bounty. Some kind of white hat bounty. Like, here's my problem. If you guys can figure it out, I will pay you. I feel like I've seen people report it with AMD cards. I definitely notice it more with NVIDIA cards. I definitely notice the reports typically include NVIDIA cards, but it's not, I can't rule out that it never happens with AMD. I don't know. I'm just very frustrated by it, obviously. I'm sorry to constantly be bringing it up. Just, it is so annoying. It is so annoying. I honestly do feel really bad, like, just talking with some of my friends about it and knowing what's going on with other people, you know, seeing what they're dealing with. And for me, it's like, oh no, my computer's misbehaving. It's like, I feel bad for complaining. Then to today, the only thing changed was the GPU and the RAM. Had very low RAM. I don't know. People keep saying, like, I'm gonna run another memory test just to see if there's errors in it, but I really don't think it's memory. I really don't think it's my RAM sticks. But I don't know. I do I think even if I can get the whole thing sorted out and figure out why my computer is being a piece of shit, computer is a significant tool, so it's a valid thing to be frustrated about. Yeah, but there's still gotta take, you know, perspective of like what's going on and how severe the situation is, right? Yes, it is something that I use every day, so having issues with it is pretty impactful, but still gotta have perspective on the overall state of affairs or something. I don't know. Carpenter's hammer was splintering on the handle. Would they not be allowed to be upset? Well, when you put it that way... Yeah. I don't know. There are definitely times where I'm like, maybe I need to use the computer less. Because it's like, holy shit. Yeah, as you say, so much of what I do, so much of what we do, for social activity, for entertainment, for relaxation, is digital now. Honestly, that's one of the things. Like, I obviously don't listen to anything like music or otherwise when I'm riding my bike, because that's really dangerous, right? You need to have good awareness of everything around you so that you don't get isekai'd. But even when I'm running, I don't wear any headphones or anything. And it started out just because, you know, I had wired headphones and I got tired of the wire bumping everywhere and causing a bunch of noise in my ear. I could get wireless headphones, but honestly, I kind of like just almost sort of meditating when I go running. Like, just think about stuff, think about what I'm doing, what's going on. Is there stuff that I need to be focusing on? Or just kind of let my head empty and look around and see what's happening around me. Using this will not help because it would not fix the issue. Oh yeah, no, it wouldn't fix this problem at all. I'm mostly just thinking, like, in general, you know, how much is my life centered around using my computer? And is that a good thing? How much am I dependent on my computer being functional? That's a better way to put it. So yeah, no, and I do appreciate you guys being understanding about the whole scenario. I do think, even if I somehow manage to figure out what the fuck is going on with my computer, says the Jupiter Brain VTuber. Excuse me, don't put me on the same level as your freaking bullshit silicon wafer talking rock that you've managed to crap together. It's like comparing a Coke bottle filled with Mentos to a Saturn V rocket. Excuse you. I love Maya Run. It's such a good emote. So, in lighter news, in honestly surprising news, Oblivion came out today. Because there was a leak. So we all knew it was happening. And then they said April 22nd. And I think, definitely for myself, but even, just reading what other people are saying, I think the general assumption, right? Because we had the marathon reveal a couple days ago, where they were like, here's a cinematic trailer and a gameplay reveal and the date, here's the release date and when you can sign up for the closed testing. And so I think everyone just kind of assumed that it was going to be that, right? It's like April 22nd, we will reveal more information and, we will let you know when it's going to be available and how it's going to be available, and here are the pre-order bundles that you can get and all that. And then April 22nd, it's like, yeah, so it's going to be available right fucking now for this much. And everyone went, oh, Pog. They just kind of stealth dropped it on the entire internet. So I guess somebody really, leaked a couple of screenshots and they took that very personally. It's like, no, we're going to control the narrative on this one. Fuck you. The thing that confuses me the most about that game, I do not understand it. And I was talking with my roommate about this earlier. That game is jank. That game is jank as fuck. In all of the best Bethesda ways possible, right? It has that... So you know how there are some kinds of cheeses that have like a particular odor or that like aftertaste that's just like part of the cheese, and it's part of the appeal of the cheese, that if you like it, you like it. I feel like that's Bethesda games. They have a particular funkiness to them, a particular jankiness in their behavior, in their animations, in their existence as a game, that if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you're not gonna get on board with it. I personally don't really like Bethesda games. I can't get into them. I see why people do, and that's fine, but for me, I just find a lot of it to be, it just doesn't work for me, right? So, Oblivion Remake comes out, and that game is all of the typical Bethesda jank. It has the same, like, weird little physics interactions. It has the same terrible dialogue camera. It has the weird faces. It's so, like, it is so quintessentially a Bethesda game. But here's the really weird thing about that. Here's why this game is so remarkable to me and why my roommate and I were so confused. Todd has a lot of opinions and most of them are wrong. Yeah, I fucking said it. Come at me. Okay, this actually is about right. Okay, so the reason that this is so weird, the reason that we were so befuddled, and I honestly just threw my hands up in the air, like, I don't know how this could be. A lot of times when a game has particular jank, weirdness, it's because of the requirements and limitations of the game engine, right? And Bethesda has been using the same game engine at least since Oblivion. Fallout 3, New Vegas, 4, Starfield. they might have had to make some changes to Elder Scrolls Online or use a different engine because of the online requirements, but maybe not. Fallout 4, every game that they have made for the last 20 years has been in the same engine. At least the last 20 years, maybe 25 or 30, right? It's old. It is old and worn out. It's so tired. And I think Starfield was like the crystallizing oh shit moment of, yeah, this thing doesn't do what it can't keep up with what we want it to do anymore. It's just done. But the Oblivion remaster is in Unreal 5. It's a different game engine. So, it's not surprising if it has jank, but for it to have the exact same jank, the exact same fuck-ups and weirdness and peculiarities of the original game almost implies that they deliberately went in and programmed the jank back into the game. They figured out how to tune Unreal 5's physics systems to behave like Bethesda's. Get the cameras to behave like Bethesda's. Get the ragdolling to behave like Oblivion's did. And I think it's a little bit, higher fidelity than the original Oblivion, but it's still a very similar behavior, right? Oh no, don't get me wrong. They understood the assignment perfectly. They got it down to a T. They nailed it. I will say, so I know when the screenshots got leaked, we were looking at them on Jin's Discord, and there was some concern. Jim had some concerns. It's it looks so colorless. It looks so, just kind of generic and not very, it doesn't have that same sort of vibrancy and liveliness that the original Oblivion had, and it didn't feel as good. But watching her play it today, I feel like, no, they understood how much that was really important to the original feel of the game as well. It needs to be an environment that feels very fantastic and grand. And so that has to have a lot of life and color in it. You can't just have everything sort of be a generic brown, high fidelity render system or some shit. No, from what I have seen of the game, which admittedly is just a few hours, watching people on stream play it, I think they understood the assignment very well, that they had to remake Oblivion with all of its bad as well as its good, and amplify its good and appreciate its bad. Right? Don't try and fix it, just make it pretty. Maybe a little bit of tuning. I know they made a couple of changes to stuff that people didn't like the level scaling and everything. They've made some improvements to that to make it feel a little bit better. I understand that they made some UI changes based on Skyrim and Elder Scrolls Online, just based on what people liked from those and didn't like in Oblivion. Right, so they got rid of a few of the parts that people just genuinely did not enjoy. But the parts that people were like, this is so dumb, I love it, they left those in very intact. But yeah, I feel like some of that requires like a super deliberate development to the game to force Unreal to be a Bethesda game, to behave like a Bethesda game, and that is incredible. Because even if you copied the code from Oblivion, line for line, and pasted it into Unreal Engine, the underlying tech is not going to be the same thing, right? The way that the physics behaves, the way that objects are going to interact, the core behavior of the engine is just different. And so you're like overwriting some of Unreal's behavior, some of its like inherent systems, its automatic systems, and saying, no, do this instead. And Unreal's probably like, but this is stupid. And they went, yeah, yeah, it really is. I don't want to get too into the hair right now. I just want to get rid of some of the sketchiness. Well, where you go? Save. If you guys are working on something, now's a good time to save it. So yeah, I'm very surprised that the game came out today. I am happy about it. I am glad that they didn't think, you know, let's turn this into some sort of 8-month hype train. We're just gonna stealth drop it and watch the internet go nuts. Let's get down here, because we've got all this area that we need to start in on, and we have not. So we're going to focus on the high needs area before we polish anything up. So yeah, I'm not planning to play it. Definitely not going to play it on stream. We got too many other things to work on and that I want to get to. And I'm just, like I said, I'm not a huge Bethesda fan in general. I tried playing Oblivion a long time ago, and to its credit, I was looking for a different type of game than what Oblivion was aiming to provide. So, you know, I was disappointed, but it wasn't necessarily a fault of Oblivion's, it just wasn't the right fit. It was not the game that I hoped it would be. We'll see other studios trying to do the same thing and failing miserably. Honestly, if they have, I feel like somebody has. You probably already forgot about it. Because it just came and went with so little fanfare or attention. It was probably a brief discussion of like, oh, this sucks. And then everybody moved on. Though I'm still gonna say it. Square. If you ever, you know, decide to realize that Final Fantasy IX remake, I'll be there. I'm just saying. I'll be there day fucking one. Ball's in your court. I don't know. In general, and so my understanding is that a lot of the Oblivion remaster was not done by Bethesda directly. I believe it was farmed out to another company. From what I was seeing when I looked it up earlier, was a company that, if they didn't do, I don't think they did all the development on the Dark Souls remaster, but they did work on it. As well as working on a number of other titles as an outsource. So, you know, obviously people are gonna give credit to Bethesda because it is a Bethesda title. But I will not belabor the point too much because I have shared my opinions on Bethesda repeatedly, and I don't want to overly harp on them. That said, it will be interesting to see how this affects the possible trajectory of Elder Scrolls 6. Because I feel like Starfield was not well received, and the Oblivion remaster seems to be getting much better reception. And I wonder if that'll have any effect on them sort of saying like, oh, okay, maybe we should do something more in this vein. Also, not for nothing, it'll be interesting if they're using the Oblivion remake as sort of a test run to see how they can get an Elder Scrolls into Unreal. Sort of start there, and then seeing if it's going well, go, okay, so we can use this for projects going forward. Because again, the engine that they have been using for years and years and years and years is pushed beyond its fucking limit. It's so very tired. And it's time to let it rest. And you can get a lot of life, a lot of use out of the same engine, right? If you're willing to put the time in to upgrade it and improve it and make it better and add new features, better functionality, and so on and so forth, right? I can't speak to what percentage or in what capacity it is, but apparently the engine that is driving Elite Dangerous in 2025 is a development of the same engine that was powering the original Elite back in the 1980s. And they've just continued to add on to it and build systems and improve functionality and make it more and more performant as modern needs have arrived. Right? So if you're willing to put in the effort to keep your engine up to date, I think you can. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to continue to use the same engine forever. You know, as much as Unreal makes a big deal about like, this is Unreal Engine 5. not 4 anymore. This is 5. You know, because they added some major big box features like, you know, nanite and everything. The core tech in Unreal Engine 5, like at the very bottom of the stack, I probably shouldn't say stack because that's an actual term and I don't know programming well enough to say it, but you get my point. At the very bottom of the pile, the very base of the pyramid, it's more or less the same tech that drove Unreal Engine 1 way back in the day. Right? And I believe Unreal Engine, oh, somebody fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure Unreal Engine split off from the Quake engine way back in the day. I'm gonna look it up. I don't wanna be spreading misinformation. Chat. If people are always spreading misinformation, how do you think Mr. from Information feels about that? Yes, Unreal Engine first showcased in the 1998 first-person shooter video game Unreal. Initially developed for PC first-person shooters, but used a variety of games. Unreal Engine was initially developed in 1995 by Epic Games founder Tim Sweeney for Unreal and used software rendering. Support Windows, Linux, okay. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the Quake engine. Yeah. Let's see. Quake engine in Tech 2. Quake engine. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think they're actually related to each other. I think I misunderstood their connections. Oh wait, Doom Engine? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're actually connected to each other. Formation. Yeah, I think I had it wrong. I don't see anything actually backing up my understanding. So that's my mistake. I apologize, Mr. Information. But you get my point, though, regarding the engine legacy and longevity. If you are willing to put a lot of time and effort into keeping your engine up to date and performant and doing what you need it to do, it will stick with you. I will allow it. Poor Mr. Information. Sitting in the chair. Poor bastard. What are you doing? I don't know why this is on another layer. Yeah, I think Bethesda has just not put the necessary effort into keeping their engine up to date. Like, they have improved it, yes. Starfield does not look like Skyrim, which does not look like Morrowind, so they have definitely put effort into upgrading it, but I don't think they put enough effort into like, improving its ability to like make the games work better, right? Like Starfield just needed to allow for such a bigger scope of play than what Skyrim was capable of doing, and I think at the end of the day it really just couldn't keep up with that demand, right? So yeah, it would not surprise me if Elder Scrolls 6 uses Unreal. If they watch this and they go, okay, so it does work, it does do what we need, so we're gonna switch to doing that. That said, they have been working on Elder Scrolls 6 probably for a while now, so I don't think they're gonna be. I don't think they would be waiting until now to figure out what they're doing in that regard. And they definitely would not want to pivot engines partway through development, because that is a terrible way to do things. There's going to be a lot of work that gets wasted if they did take that approach. So I don't know. Maybe I'm misjudging it, but it's also possible that what I'm sort of imagining is correct, but it already happened a while ago. That they sort of started the Oblivion remaster as a testbed for Elder Scrolls 6, and now after some period of time, they're satisfied. 6 is in progress, and hey, we got a cool remaster out of it that we can just kind of shadow drop and ship out. Maybe. This is all just speculation on my part from someone on the outside. Or who knows, maybe Phil Spencer just held Todd Howard's head above a toilet after the whole debacle with Redfall and Starfield and was like, you need to make us some motherfucking money right now. Where's my money, Todd? What a weird fucking week. What a weird ass week it has been. And it's only Tuesday. Alright, we're getting there with the whole nail situation. I realize her nails are black, so I gotta go in and do that. I don't proceed the passage time anymore. I get up. I go to PC. I work. I get off PC. I go to bed. I sleep. I wake up. I go to PC. May I offer a bit of unsolicited advice in regards to that? I used to do the same thing. And it's not healthy. It is really important to have time that is not dedicated to working. No, it is not unsolicited. Good. I don't want it to be unsolicited. I want to offer it, which would make it. I bet. Damn it. Damn it. Point stamps. I think one of the big problems that people run into with self-employment is that they have no divide between their work time and their then time, right? Like, I have my job, and my job is at home. My work computer is literally 90 degrees to my right. I have a big L desk, and my work computer sits on one branch of the L, and my home computer sits on the other branch of my L, and it lets me do a bunch of stuff, like watch Twitch streams and whatnot while I'm working. Don't tell anybody. You know, lets me check stuff on my home computer. But my work computer is always right there, right? It's right beside me. But once I clock out at the end of the day, right? Once I hit 5 or 5:30, whenever my clock out window is, that's it, right? That is not work time anymore. I do not look at the computer. I do not, you know, occasionally I might have to acknowledge it just to check if there's like a thing that it's supposed to be doing, right? But I don't do any more work once the workday is done. I remember hearing just a sort of anecdotal story back during the pandemic of a lady who would, you know, finish her workday, and she was working from home, but she would still sort of go through a ritual that when she finishes the workday, she would go outside and like stretch and walk around a little bit. She would walk out of her house and then walk into her house. Like, there still had to be that separation mentally of that was work time, that was workspace, now it is my time. And I think when you're self-employed, it is really easy to just get into a mindset of, well, I could be working now. I could be working now. I could get more done. I can keep going, right? And I think it is really important to like continue to like distinguish between the two. Brain cut up the screen. Do not start. Don't even joke about that. Oh god. Okay, him's looking better. Gotta put more work into the nails, but we're getting the color laid in at least. So, I don't know. Probably heard it before. But I do think it is important to keep in mind. I think it is important to one's well-being to have a distinguishment of when to be working and when not to be. Because otherwise you just work all the time. And that's a great way to just overload yourself. I think the even more dangerous thing, the really, really dangerous thing that can come from that mindset, or that, you know, that work ethic, is if you can be working all the time, you get into the mindset of, why am I not working? I could be. This could be work time. Why is it not? Why am I not working? I should be working. Work for almost 9 hours straight. See, even when you work a full-time job of 8 hours, you're supposed to have a break, at least one break in there. You know, if you're working, if you're living nocturnal hours, if you're living degen hours, and yeah, you work from 3 in the morning until 11, and then you do some stuff, and then you go to bed at like 4 or whatever. Like, yeah, the hours are screwy, but it's still, you know, maintaining a sort of balance. The problem is if you wake up and you work for 8 hours and then you take a break, you take a nap, you get up, and then you keep working. Right? You don't afford yourself any time to relax or enjoy stuff or take care of other things. You know, everyone has their own tolerances and their own balances, so what's gonna, you know, work for one person isn't necessarily gonna work for you, and vice versa. So, you know, everything that I say is obviously, you know, somewhat anecdotal, and you sort of need to figure out the balance yourself. But the most important thing is finding a balance. Because otherwise, yeah, you're just gonna run yourself into the ground. I'm playing a game, sometimes I could be working right now. Yep. Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do, because I have done that too. I mean, I spent most of this weekend just playing games. And I felt kind of bad about it. I was like, I really meant to like get more work and more art done, and I didn't do that. And I just, you know, kind of had to be like, no, this was the weekend, and I've been dealing with shit, and I just want, it is okay to take this time and just sort of enjoy the things that I want to enjoy, and we'll take care of it next time, and it's okay. You gotta, I'm such a fucking hypocrite to even say this, but you gotta allow yourself a little bit of forgiveness and grace. And part of the reason that I don't like play Baldur's Gate 3 and finally get around to finishing it is because you have to sit down for like hours to play sessions of Baldur's Gate. It's like real fucking D&D. You just gotta commit time to playing through and finishing it. And I never do, because it's like I wanna be working on stuff. I wanna be multitasking. I wanna be, you know, drawing at the same time that I'm gaming, and you really can't do that with a game like Baldur's Gate. It demands too much of your attention, rightfully so, but not in a way that is as compatible with my style as I would like. So yeah, I do think that lack of division in work life and personal life is very dangerous. I think it's something that the freelance and the self-employed must be very careful about, because yeah, it's very easy to just end up committing all of your time to working on stuff and trying to get the hustle. This is coming along. Just trying to get that right feel for the hoodie and everything. It's not black, right? It is shades of gray. You gotta avoid just washing the whole thing out. I think because of the late start, we might need to work on this a bit on Thursday, which is a shame. I had hoped we could get it done today, but we'll see. We'll see. Whenever I get the dual setup figured out, that first stream is gonna be so fucking jank. It's gonna be a mess. You're gonna have to get everything loaded onto the handheld. I'm just gonna call it the Steam Deck for now, even though I'm probably not gonna get it. I feel like Steam Deck is kind of, it's like Band-Aid. It's just sort of become the catch-all term, right? Oh, I will say, so this is one thing that I will have to give Apple credit for. And I think they messed up a little bit in a few places, but I gotta give them credit for the most part. You know what they call iPhones? Like when they release a new model? They go up a number. They had the iPhone, and then the iPhone 2, and then the 3, and then the 4. On and on. I think we're on like, what, 16 now? 17? It's like, what iPhone do you have? What are they on right now? That's how old your iPhone is. Right? All these handhelds is like, okay, so we had the Steam Deck, and then we have the Steam Deck OLED, which is, I guess, technically not the Steam Deck 2. It's like a halfway upgrade. And then we have the Rogue Ally, and now we have the Rogue Ally X, and then we have the Lenovo Legion, and then Legion Go, and then we have the Legion Go S, and then the MSI Claw 7, and then the Claw 8 AI Plus, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like, make a new product, call it what you want to call it. No numbers, just call it what you want to call it. And then make a new one and call it 2. And then make another one and call it 3. Stop with the X's, stop with the pluses, stop with the... just number that shit. It's one of the few things that Sony has unambiguously gotten right. PlayStation, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, done. Yes, Xbox has never understood it. Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series. At this point, Microsoft is literally just the butterfly meme that they see a piece of hardware come out of the sky. It's like, is this an Xbox? Fucking hell. Nintendo barely gets a pass because each time they make a console, it is so distinctly unique that it kind of doesn't make sense to just number it the next thing, right? They could have gone the NES, the NES2, the NES3, the NES4, but like, I don't know. You look at a GameCube and a Wii, and they're kind of hard to put side by side, right? But then they did the Wii U, which ended up causing them a lot of trouble because people were like, so is the Wii U like a peripheral to the Wii? Is it an upgrade? Is it the same thing? Is it different? What am I getting with the Wii U? It actually confused people more than anything to name it like almost like an offshoot of the Wii. Yeah, no, I think for the most part, again, because each one felt so distinct and didn't have like similar profiles or design paradigms or anything, it was like, no, that's an N64, that's a GameCube, that's a Wii, that's a Switch. And you're like, okay, sure, get it. But then, yeah, they did the Wii U and everything got really weird. And people got very confused and they were like, we're never doing that again. Except now they're doing the Switch too. Which again is like, okay, so this is a direct upgrade slash improvement of the Switch design paradigm. Oh, right, they had the Switch Lite? I think it was Switch Lite. And then, yeah, Switch OLED, which was not a general improvement. It just had a better screen. And now they have the Switch 2, which I'm assuming is OLED. And is also a hardware improvement. Yeah, so they kind of fucked themselves over with the number of the... Though, to be fair, the number of DS models... Oh, boy. The number of DS and 3DS models that they released was like an entire line of product by itself. So, you know. Take that as you will, I suppose. DS, DS Lite, 3DS, 2DS, 3DS XL. I feel like there's a missing one in there somewhere. I could be wrong. I feel like there's at least one more. I could be wrong. I don't remember. Never did end up getting a 3DS. Those are just from memory. So yeah, the whole thing, all these bullshit naming conventions has made trying to figure out like which is the latest one of each handheld and which ones are out very difficult, because I'll look and I'll find reviews for the previous model. And it's like, no, I don't want that. I want the latest model. Do you have that? It's like, oh, I don't even know if that's out yet. Yeah, I had a DS. I quite liked that. That was a good piece of hardware. Never got a 3DS. I remember trying the 3DS out at E3, the year they announced it. I got to go to E3 that year and I got to try it. And it was cool. It was very cool. I was very impressed. You know, the 3D technology just being up on the show floor. It was like, yeah, this works. It's cool. But I never bought it. I never bought my own. I don't think it ultimately was. I think it was a neat little gimmick that maybe a few people came up with like clever little uses. And you know, I think when I was there, I think when I was messing with it, you know, they had a little AR thing with those little AR cards you could read, and like Pokemon and whatnot would jump up. I believe they had Star Fox, right? And so you were playing Star Fox and it had the 3D overlay. It was cool, you know. Played it for like 5 minutes and then, you know, you had to let someone, you had to, you know, keep the line moving. So yeah, as a novelty to try for a few minutes is like neat. For, yeah, extended play use? Nah, probably not a big deal. And then, of course, you get into that kind of weird territory, right? Where, so they introduced the 2DS, which is so dumb because it's literally just a DS. It's just a walk back to the DS. Ah! But, you know, obviously the hardware is up to the 3DS's spec, whatever. But now, say you're a developer making a game for the 3DS, but the 2DS is also there. So if you want it to be sellable on the 2DS, it can't have any functionality or gameplay that requires the 3D to be a thing. Because then the 2DS can't do that, and if you bought a 2DS, you just get a big middle finger. DS, DS Lite, DSi. The fuck is a DSi? The DSi XL, the 2DS, the 2DS XL, the 3DS, the 3DX. Shut the fuck up! Oh, I hate it. That's so bad. It's so dumb. It's too many. It's too many. Can you tell Nintendo when to make money off of console sales? I can. Oh, speaking of which, guess who dropped another video that we should go watch? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. Here, Lofa. Need you to hold up for a second. We're gonna do this. And then check the window. There you are. There's always money in the banana stand. I haven't actually say what they said in terms of price increases, but it's like No. We won't charge more for the console. The games, on the other hand, the peripherals, on the other hand. It's so dumb. I don't know. I have already spoken on Nintendo, and I don't want to be some kind of grandstanding hater or nothing, so I won't get too much into it. I just feel like Nintendo's getting a little crazy. How about I lower you in battery acid? There we go. Oh shit, I saw, this is actually like one of the rare instances where an ad was helpful and I appreciated it. The second season of Andor starts tonight. I'm assuming they're not releasing it all at once because it's Disney. Why would they? Subscribe, motherfuckers. But the new season is starting. So I am looking forward to watching that. It looks really good. It looks really, really solid. I fucking love the insanity of where Star Wars is right now. 3 episodes a week. That seems to be kind of the standard nowadays, because Arcane did that too. I feel like some other series have done that. So this seems to be a really sort of popular approach, and I understand why, right? Like Arcane did this, I think, in a really sort of well encapsulated way, that they had 9 episodes and then released them in 3 groups of 3 every week. But the first 3 episodes were like Act 1, and the second 3 were Act 2, and the third 3 were the final act. So you had a trilogy of episodes running through each act. So you had sub-acts within the act. I feel like that's a really good structure, right? Stories just kind of naturally function well in a trilogy format. So, you know, setting up like nested trilogies seems to pay off pretty well. If you can't avoid spoilers, then kindly do not say. Because I am very excited and I will be very upset. But it is wild to me that, you know, Star Wars since the Disney acquisition has been very hit and miss. With the tractor being... Oh! I almost forgot that was involved. Yes, that was good. That was fun. It's a good scene. So, I think a big part of where Star Wars has been successful post acquisition is in the animated series, in the cartoons. I think a lot of people do sleep on the cartoons and they really shouldn't. The movies have been predominantly not good. I think 7 was serviceable to sort of get things going. I have soured a bit on 8 the longer it's gone on. There were definitely things about 8 that I liked, but I also have kind of come to agree with some of the predominant sentiment around it. 9 was terrible. Hello, Sonic. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Nice. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I respect that. But the two things, what is surprising to me, what I think is the most like what the hell, is that probably the two most successful elements of Star Wars in recent years has been Rogue One, which was a prequel with a bunch of out of nowhere characters that explained a minor plot point from the original movie in incredible fashion. And then what if we took one of those characters, not even the main character, just one of the characters, the side character, the main supporting character, and spun him off into his own show, and then just kind of happened to make that the best part of like anything that has happened recently? A mall focus series. That's interesting. I'd be down with that potentially. I feel like I know approximately where it would be located. Timelines. Okay, so it could be interesting. The main problem to me is I don't know that Maul is interesting enough as his own character, right? I feel like he is an interesting foil for other characters. It has the potential to be interesting, but I worry it could be overstepping a little bit, if that makes sense. We'll see. Maybe it'll work. No, the voice actor is really good. The voice actor is really good. I really like that the character got more opportunity to be fleshed out and explored and become more interesting, right? Rather than just kind of be a villain of the week in Phantom Menace. I don't mind that part. But again, I feel like he is so far been very successful and more interesting as an antagonist, as a foil, rather than like as the focal point. And I worry that sort of trying to put too much of the focus, too much of the spotlight onto him might kind of it might not play to his strengths as a character type. Maybe it'll work. If they have someone who knows like what the deal with the character is and how to play to those strengths, then yeah, they could probably get it to work. But I feel like there's the potential for it to go sideways pretty quickly. VA from All started in the franchise's Star Killer from the Force Unleashed game and used franchise knowledge to work his way up. Nice. Good for him, man. So, I don't know. On the subject of ads, one that kind of struck me just as like how kind of sad it was. I saw an ad for, is it Thunderbirds? I think it's Thunderbirds, but every time I hear Thunderbirds, I think Thunderbirds Are Go, which is a different franchise. It's a very different thing. But the Marvel Thunderbirds, their movie is, I don't know, coming out soon, I guess. I guess the last Captain America must have already come out because I don't see any ads about that anymore. But I don't know, like I see it and I'm just so not interested. I feel so little seeing ads for a Marvel movie at this point that I'm just like, okay. I feel like, I mean, you're welcome to double check. Again, and it's kind of sad, but I really just don't care that much. Like, up until Endgame, I think I missed one or two Marvel movies. I think I missed Thunderbolts. Okay, my mistake. Yeah, like I think I missed the original Hulk movie, and I think there was one other that I never watched. But, you know, vast majority of the MCU movies, I watched and enjoyed quite a lot. You know, they weren't all bangers, they weren't all winners, but they were fun. I enjoyed them quite a bit. And we got to Endgame, and I liked that a lot. I thought it was a very satisfying conclusion. I don't know. I saw a few of the post-Endgame movies. I saw Doctor Strange. I saw Spider-Man. I watched one or two of the TV shows. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of interest in like continuing to be invested and continuing to follow along with the series, the franchise. I think the other thing, yeah, some of it I think is an issue with direction. I think there's a few issues. I think there's a lack of direction to some degree with like what they want to do with the post-Endgame movies other than continue to make money off of them. I think there's a lot of burnout, frankly. Like if they released one MCU movie every, let's split the difference and say 8 months, right? I was thinking 6 months to a year. But you know, let's you know, they don't need to fall like clockwork. Let's say they released one every 8 months. I feel like that would be a reasonable release schedule that people could still get like excited for those, right? People could still be like, yeah, you know what? I want to go see the next Marvel movie. Because right now, I don't go to the theater. I think the last movie I went to the theater for was Dune Part 2. I wanted to see that, so I went to see that. And otherwise, I do not go to the theater, ever. I watch movies at home. Yeah, and I saw the trailer for Fantastic Four, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is like the final lead up for whatever they want to do. Also, no disrespect to Robert Downey Jr. I think he's a good guy, cool, you know. And again, with actors and whatnot, it's like they offer you a paycheck, take the paycheck, because you don't know when the next one is going to show up. But recasting him as Doctor Doom, I suppose maybe the whole idea is that he's like from another universe and this is where he went evil mode. I don't know. I don't frankly care that much. But I think recasting Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom was weak. Sure, and that's fine. But comics are dumb and I don't care. I think one of the reasons that the MCU was so successful was because they recognized, like, we can't do all of the weird contrivances that comics books do. We need to make this into something that is going to have a form and flow that makes more sense to the regular moviegoer entertainment consumer, right? I think they were very smart about that, and I think they were very successful. And it feels like the longer they've gone on, the more they have like continued to dip into comic book events and contrivances to like generate fan excitement and come up with new events. Okay, don't even get into body swapping and whatnot. Just don't. Just don't. So, I think some of it is a lack of direction. I think some of it is oversaturation. Like, you had Captain America, like, maybe 2 months ago, and you have another movie coming out in 2 weeks, and you have Fantastic Four, which I think is sometime later this year. So the release schedule is, like, every 3 to 4 months, approximately. And that is, frankly, it's too much. It is too many. With the cost of going to see a movie at release nowadays, trying to get people to attend every movie to be ready for the next tentpole movie is just like, no. You know, if you said every 8 months we want you to come watch an MCU movie, it's like, I could probably do that. That would probably be fine. I wouldn't mind that. But I don't know, every 3 months just feels like it's too much. Going to the theater feels like an event now because of how much it costs. And I ain't about it. Oh, I forgot a nail. Shit. Yeah, I don't know. I used to really like the MCU. I thought it was fun. I thought they were entertaining and well-crafted movies. I know some people got really haughty about it. It was like, oh, this is just mass consumer cinema. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's fun. Yeah. And like, I feel like with Wolverine, right, in the third Deadpool movie, they did a good job. Like, they did a good job recognizing, you know, the way that Logan ended. They had to respect that. They didn't, you know, try and walk it back or anything. they were like, let's, you know, acknowledge that that happened and respect that that happened, but then we can also explore it from a different angle. The Deadpool movies are amazingly well crafted for how fucking silly and dumb they are. Like, they're clearly made by people that love and care about what they're doing. And yeah, if they don't handle this correctly, then it would be really weird. Like, I remember, and this is not nearly as impactful of a thing, right? But the Doctor Who series has gone through a lot of actors and actresses over the years, right? Both in terms of people playing the Doctor, people playing the companions, people playing side characters. And not the latest Doctor, but one or two Doctors back, Peter Capaldi had been on Doctor Who at least once as a side character. And I'm pretty sure someone even said, like, if you get on the show as a side character, that's pretty much it, right? Because you've been in the show at that point. Your face has been in the show. But then he got cast as the Doctor. And I'm sure it's not a huge thing. I don't know that anybody like raised a stink or really cared about it, but it was kind of weird. That's like, okay, but you, like, we have seen this person in the canon, in the timeline at one point. And so it's weird to see them again, you know, reprising a different spot. Not exactly the same thing, but it does have sort of a similar moment in my mind. I think it does kind of speak to the overall state of the MCU, just to bring it back around. That, like, I don't know, if this had been pre-Endgame, pre-Infinity War, and they had pulled a move like this, I think there would have been a lot more, like, interest in what they're doing. What does it mean? You know, what kind of impact is that going to have? And right now, it feels like there's a lot more just sort of trepidation about what it's going to do. Like, there's interest, but it's much more concerned and cautious than I think it would have been a few years ago. And that speaks largely to just how I think the sort of franchise is being received by the mass audience. I don't know. If they can pull it off, then cool. If they can pull it off, good job. But I think right now there's a lot of uncertainty about whether they will be able to. There we go. I do hope. So they tried doing that like side story of Dune, right? With the Bene Gesserit or whatever. I feel like there was a side movie or short series or something that they did. And it was not well received. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I hope that that has killed much enthusiasm for trying to make a franchise out of Dune. Because I really get sick of like, oh, this one thing had considerable success. It was quite popular. Let's milk it to death now. Let's make it into a franchise, and we're gonna do spin-offs and sequels and tie-ins and all this shit. It's like, no. No, I liked the one. I liked those two movies. They were really good. If there's a third movie, I will go see it. Assuming that it's good, I might just be happier to leave it with the two and call it a day. I do not need an entire, like, extended experience of Dune spanning multiple mediums and dozens or hundreds of hours of entertainment. Just let it lie and rake in your paychecks. Jesus. Not everything needs to make infinite money. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked the Dune movies. I thought they were a lot of fun. I thought they were very cool. I thought they were entertaining and all those things. I don't need it to go on forever. Hell, I even listened to the audiobook as a result. Because I was curious about how the books and the movies deviated. I think I like the movies more. There's one thing that I thought was kind of funny. So, the David Lynch adaptation of Dune had a lot of problems. It had a lot of weird things that they did to try and cram the entire movie into that runtime. There's a lot of David Lynch isms that, you know, do what you will with it. Apparently there was a lot of executive meddling that required Lynch to make changes that he was not happy with, and he was very sort of miserable with the project by the end of it, which is unfortunate. But I remember at one point, some review or some discussion of it was sort of giving the miniseries some ribbing over how, like, you know, Paul joins up with the Fremen and starts waging a war against the not the Sardaukar, the Harkonnens, right? Starts fighting them, and the movie just kind of like glosses over it in a very brief battle montage with a narrator sort of explaining all of this happening, and then moves on like significantly into the future. And it's like, yeah, all that happened, don't worry about it. Anyway, here's the next thing. And it's like, really? You're just gonna cover all that in like 15 seconds? Like a multi-month, year-long war? Just a brief little like blip on the timeline? So you know who else did that? The recent movies did that. You know who else did that? The book. Like, Act 2 basically ends with Paul joining the Fremen and starting to learn how to be Fremen and like getting accepted into their ranks and joining the battle. And then it goes to Act 3, which is like 12 months later. And Paul is just a leader and has been conducting a guerrilla campaign against the Harkonnens and pissing off the Empire. It's like, give Lynch crap if you want, but he was honestly just doing the assignment. Just cleaning up the eyeshadow a little bit in here. I realized I shaped it wrong, so it was covering too much. That's better. Let's flip it over. I don't think we've done that yet. That's a bit better. Let's get that curve a bit more outward. Soul crap is here. Yeah, that happens to me a lot. I feel like the shape of the mouth is still a little off. There we go. Yeah, better. Let's angle it up a little bit more. No. I have upset Automon. I'm gonna let that one sit, Mage. I think you should throw that note in the trash and burn the trash. Okay. Well, I think we've got a lot of the like principal cleanup done now, which is cool. So now we can get a little bit into like polishing territory and just kind of keep playing with it some more. Maybe we can finish this tonight. If we do aim for that, we've only got 90 minutes. We'll see. We'll see. Kind of a stretch. I'd rather not. I like being... I like trying to get these done expediently, but not rush it, right? Okay. Have a minifying glass? I don't know if this is quite the right texture for the hair. It's interesting. It's interesting. I just don't know if it's correct, you know? It's a little feathery almost. Yeah, I think the main thing I'm kind of looking at is like breaking this up a little bit. It's a little too even. Like they're not exactly the same size and shape, but they're all falling to about the same place. And they're all fairly similar in size. So if we can kind of distinguish them and break them up a little bit, I think that'll help the overall sort of read of the hairline a bit better. Right? I mean, this one in particular is getting clipped by the work on the eyelash. So if we can bring it down noticeably, I think that will give a nice little bit of distinction, right? A little variation to it all. Plus it just gives some nice depth to the overall image. Okay. Just gonna keep saving. I'm gonna keep saving because I have no idea when my computer's gonna decide to grab itself, and I really just don't want to run the risk of it. Okay. What's that? Yeah. The good thing is, when the crashes do happen, Clip Studio has not closed on me and lost data, which has been nice. I appreciate that. That is often a concern that I have. The bad part is, for whatever reason, when it does happen, whatever amount the Clip Studio does freak out, it forgets all of its file history. So the Open Recent library just completely empties out, and I have to go find all the files and reopen them by hand. Which is not, you know, the biggest problem in the world, but it is inconvenient. I don't appreciate that. I don't know. I just wish I had something to tell me what the problem was. Like if there was something that said your graphics card is fucked, you need to buy a new one. Fine. Fine. I will buy a new one if I have to. Just I need to know that's the problem before I drop a ton of money on it or whatever. Or put a bunch of effort into fixing it. It's the uncertainty of it all that's so frustrating. The ambiguity of the problem. You know, I wonder if Clip Studio 4, because I was complaining about the file size of the time lapses last time. I wonder if Clip Studio 4 has improved on the tech. I wonder if they've gotten better at the recording process so that it doesn't take up as much file space. Because I don't know that I've actually tried to record a time lapse since upgrading from 2 to 4. I skipped version 3 altogether. So it's possible that it's just improved and I didn't know. the fuck is that? Oh, I made a mess. I made a mess. Oh no. There we go. Random plastic fork. Lol, so random. Okay, here's looking pretty good, but you know what we need? Gotta be sure to do this in the correct direction because the image is flipped over. There we go. Okay. Oh, do we want to do the? I really don't want to do the pattern on the hoodie. Although, let me try something. Let me try something real silly and dumb. This is probably going to paste in really weirdly. There it is. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, hang on. Let's try and balance this out a little bit. Okay. Now let's see what we can do with that, right? So we're gonna try and knock it out some. And then go like that. Okay, I think that works. All right. Oh no. Okay, here. Give me that. Copy. Paste that. I'm gonna desaturate it. And then we're gonna take essentially all of this. Yeah, because unfortunately we can't like grab a continuous shape out of there, right? Yeah, and that's just gonna make a mess of it. Okay. Here, let's just be. We'll do it manually. Okay, and then one more thing. That just about does it. if you get stickers merged of some variety and they include business cards, do you keep them? Generally not. I know I saved a bunch of business cards from like work-related stuff. But if business cards came with merchandise, I don't know. I don't think I would throw them away, but I think I would eventually just kind of misplace them and discard them in a less committal manner. Okay, I think that's clean enough. I think we get the desired effect, and we can get rid of a few spots and odds and ends right there. Okay. Good. Okay, so we're gonna merge that in, apply the mask, copy it. I don't know. I figure everyone's kind of got their whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean weird or not, just is. I mean, I don't like buying stickers because I could never commit to actually putting them on anything. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now, the one thing that we are going to have to do with this... Well, so two things. One, we need to... Well, shit, fine. We need to hide it off of the areas that we don't want it, right? And two, it's got the drawstrings baked into it. So we gotta go in and edit it in a few places to get rid of those. There we go. Nope, don't do that. We got to redraw as well, but that's okay. We'll get to that in a minute. One step at a time. I don't know if they're going to make a System Shock 2 remake. I know that was kind of on the cards, but I know the first System Shock was such a fucking uphill battle for them. I think they kind of stepped away from the prospect of doing 2, at least for a while. Well, you get some other projects done, get some money in the bank and all that, and then they can think about it. I hope they do, though. I think they... Is it Blue Point? Did a really good job with the System Shock 1 remake. I really enjoyed it. I know System Shock 2 is very beloved, so there might be a bit more like scrutiny and people breathing down their necks about it. Which is saying a lot because System Shock 1 was a nightmare in that regard. But hopefully. Yeah, like I never played System Shock 1 or 2 until the remake, and I thought it was very good. I very much enjoyed it, and I would recommend it. I know in a lot of ways System Shock 2 holds up well enough that it probably doesn't need a remake in the same way. I'm upset. It's gotta be flipped. Oh, it's gotta be flipped. It's gotta be flipped because the image is flipped. Fuck me. Oh, it's so frustrating. Alright, it's honestly, aside from redoing the, erasing out the drawstrings, it's not too bad. We can make it work. We can suit it to our needs. It's just one of those little oh fuck moments. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then we're just gonna mask out a few areas. And what we're gonna do is fill this in 100% white. Set that back to normal so we can see a bit better. And then we're just gonna fill in a few areas to help make this smoother, better. There we go. Okay, I think that'll cover us. So we set this back to multiply. We're gonna come up here. And we just basically gotta go through the same process again, which, admittedly was not that bad. The funny thing is, since we can't even see the text, it probably would have been pretty hard to notice. But I would have known. I would have known, and that's not okay. Exactly. Everyone else could have been going, oh, Kaiga, it looks so good, it's so cool, and I would have just been, like, wallowing in my own shame. An old gem filled with regret. What's it supposed to look like in there? Right, drawstring. Can't tell. I think it's like that. Just add a little bit of roughness to the area, right? Break up. Fill that in. There we go. Oop, missed a bit. So fill all that in, and then this part, we get rid of it. Kind of round out the fox's chest right there, and erase from right there. and remove that. There we go. Cool. Alright, there we go. That's correct. That's what we need to see. Alright, so let's just merge that in. We'll hold the mask shape, but now we got it the way we wanted to. Alright, cool. I'm glad that more or less worked, because if we had tried to recreate the pattern, I think that would have been a lot. I think that would have been a lot to try and do. Okay. Let's put a little more work into the hands. I think we don't have quite enough love there yet. Yeah. I do suspect. I do feel like we'll probably... Let's see where we get to in an hour. But I do think probably going to want to put a little bit more time into this on Thursday. Maybe like an hour or so. And then we can get started on the next one. I do think I want to do the dual PC setup for the stream. I think just in general, right? Like obviously we've got whatever bullshit is going on with the computer right now. Hopefully we can figure out how to fix that at some point. But even barring that, you know, computers crash, computers blue screen, computers run into issues, and it would be nice to sort of have a buffer of if the main computer goes offline for some reason, runs into an issue. You know, we can sort of get through it and get up and going again without losing the entire stream going down. I do feel like it'll be a good little sort of safety measure that'll also improve the overall sort of fidelity of the stream, hopefully. Like being able to play games without losing frame rates on the game or the monitor as much. On the model. I think would be nice. The one thing that I'm not sure about, I'll probably need to look into a little bit more, is like scene transitions, right? Because right now I have different scenes set up in OBS to capture different stuff. So we've got a scene for Photoshop and a scene for games and a scene for Unreal and a scene for Live 2D. And we just set those up how we want. We have different window arrangements and everything. But if everything is coming just from the capture card, if it's all the same input source, then we don't really need like different scenes for that, right? Because everything would just be changing on the desktop side and not in OBS. So we'll need to consider how that would work. So yeah, I do think in general, something that would be good to do, something that I want to do. Plus just having, you know, a computer that I can take with me more easily, not worry about it, you know, jostling around in the car, damaging itself. One other thing, I was talking with a friend about, and he told me about a program called Moonlight, which is basically a remote desktop service system server type of deal. So you set up Moonlight on the machine that you want to receive the data, and then I think they have it set up to work with NVIDIA GeForce, but then there's also an open source program called Sunshine, right? So Sunshine transmits and Moonlight receives. And apparently, it's very good. Like, even over long distances. Like, my friend tells me that, you know, he'll take his Steam Deck with him to Florida and leave his computer on here in the Northwest. So the opposite side of the country. Hello, Jack. Happy Tuesday. How's your week going so far? I hope it's treating you well. We're kind of all over the place, but we're talking computer plans somewhat. But yeah, so he can, you know, take his Steam Deck to the other side of the country and then connect back to his desktop via Moonlight and stream games from it. And there's some input latency, but it's enough that you can kind of adapt to it. It's small enough that you can adapt to it. And aside from that, apparently, it is a very effective system. So, I don't know, depending on what I'm doing, I could theoretically also, you know, take the Steam Deck or the Rogue or whatever I end up getting, and just for the purposes of like, you know, being able to continue to play the games that I want to play, I just leave my desktop on at home and connect wirelessly if the machine isn't able to play the games themselves. So I do feel like there are options. And unfortunately, the Moonlight thing would not really solve the streaming problem, because I would still be, you know, running OBS and everything off of the desktop and then streaming it to the deck to then be sending to Twitch. It's like, well, what's the point of that? So it does have some functionality. I think that would sort of alleviate some of the concerns of like, well, can this thing actually, you know, do everything that I want to do? Adequate performance is like, well, it can do a fair amount, and anything that it can't, I could stream from the desktop for that. I mean, what I would ultimately like is for my damn PC to just work. Because at the end of the day, you know, I do think there's some good contingencies, there's some good functionality in all of this, but, you know, a lot of this discussion, a lot of this consideration has arisen because the desktop is not just working. And I would really appreciate it if it just worked. Maybe I should ask Phil Spencer if I can borrow Todd for a little bit. Hold his head above the toilet until he gets my computer to just work. I don't know. I'm sure he'd be open to negotiations, open to some ideas. Can figure something out, right? We're reasonable people. I don't know. Yeah, I'm certainly not gonna... I think even under the unfortunate circumstances that I would be getting the machine, I'd probably still, you know, enjoy it. Maybe not use it a ton, right? But I think I would have fun with it anyway. Potentially. Though I have heard Windows 11, like I was saying, Windows 11, I think in general is just kind of a frustrating operating system, and trying to run it on a mobile device is just infuriating. That seems to be the biggest complaint about a lot of these machines, is not even the performance, right? Like the performance is good for what you get, what you're paying for. It's good. But then a lot of them is just like, fucking Windows, man. Every time, every review, every comment that I see is just like, Windows fucking 11 continues to be the thorn in the butt for all of these machines. Yeah. Microsoft just needs to frickin' take the L and get on with Windows 12. What if it is? What if all of this is not even to like force adoption for 11? What if it's just to get people into a position where once 12 comes out, they're like primed to buy it? Because they want to get off 11 and anything is better. It's not impossible. It could be some grand strategy. I mean, I'm not sure Microsoft is really capable of grand strategies at this point, but maybe that's what they want us to think. Games within games. All available on Game Pass. Gonna clean this up a little bit. Almost done. We're actually getting very close to done with this one, I think. There's just a few more areas that I want to clean up. Though, you know, I say that and she's still not sitting on a background at all. It's still just a completely alpha background because I haven't done anything with it. So maybe it's not done yet. Maybe it's still got quite a ways to go. Now that I think about it. What the fuck is that? Where did that come from? When did that shit happen? Apparently a while ago, so we're just gonna have to live with it. God damn it. Freaking errant brushstrokes. Oh, makes me so mad. So mad. There we go. And then we're just gonna grab a little bit of this. So we need to do some cast shadow underneath it, right? There you go. Okay. And then we're just gonna grab a little bit of some sparkly to put right along here. Maybe I just need to RMA the damn card. At least just get that off the list of possible causes. It's not a fun option. I'm not looking forward to it, but I don't see a lot else that there's still to do, you know? Go. Card is no, the card is underclocked, frankly. I brought it down a little bit just in case. One of the things I was reading is it seems like manufacturers kind of slightly overclock their cards just to, you know, get as much performance and marketable numbers out of it as they can. So yeah, I underclocked it slightly just to reduce strain and you know, potential like power spiking. Just a little bit, not a ton, right? I mean, it hasn't stopped the crashes at all. So I don't think that was the cause, but... I don't know, frankly... As much as it could well be a hardware issue, I do really feel like a lot of the cause is coming down to the OS, and the drivers and everything are not communicating with each other properly. I really feel like the problem is somewhere in there. If it were a hardware problem. Oh, hello, tree friend. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. For those of you who are new, my name is Choomsday Kaiga. I am a Jupiter brain cell VTuber. I crashed on Earth, and now I'm chilling out with my chooms and making art, playing games, and having a good time. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. What are you guys doing? How was your stream? Probably Harmony, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ooh, Cyberpunk. How was that? How are you guys doing? Did you have a good time? I never got back to playing Phantom Liberty. I did play through it one time, and I wanted to do a second playthrough for Phantom. And I started it, and I kind of wandered off. Doing first on-stream playthrough, even though you played 400 hours. Yes, I should get back to it. I was watching somebody play it. I was like, I kind of miss this game. I want to give it another go, so I'll probably try and jump back onto it at some point. What kind of playthrough are you going through? Of course, for you and for all of your lovely community, thank you very much for coming. If you guys want to, or if you guys need to do any post-stream care, go clean up, get something to eat or drink or stretch or relax or go to bed, please feel free to. I don't mean to keep you. You are welcome to stick around and hang out if you wish. We are trying to finish up this here drawing tonight. We might. We've got a little bit more to go, but we'll see. Thank you. Berserker Gorilla Arms. Just level Night City one punch at a time. That sounds fun. I haven't tried a melee build. I was a tech wizard in the first go through. I was doing more of like a engineering and gun runner in the second one. I haven't tried a melee focus build. It'd probably be pretty fun, especially get like a Syndevistan in there. You could just throw them. What if I yeet? Yeah, there we go. Nice. So you put that much time in. I'm guessing you played through Phantom Liberty already. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I hope you get something very good to eat. I appreciate the lurk. And I appreciate the raid very much. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Nice. So it sounds like it's worth playing at some point. I definitely want to. I don't know. Finding the time for it, you know? There you go. Cleaning up some of these little odd ends. Thick. There we go. Really need to figure out what I'm going to do for the background on this sucker. Probably shouldn't try to do anything too complicated. I think I cut the mascara in a pretty good spot. Yeah, it could be a little bit thicker in a few areas, but not too bad. Yeah, that looks better. There we go. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. It's a little more saturated for the hair highlights. There we go. Chef be cooking, I be making something. Hello, Genetic. Happy Choomsday. Welcome in. How are you doing? I'm trying to keep things low stress because otherwise I'm gonna whoop the heck out and probably throw something. I'm gonna be honest, I saw a screenshot of the 5060, the NVIDIA 5060 graphics card, which is such a dumb name now that I think about it. The 5060, can you? Anyway. I saw a screenshot of it, and I was kind of tempted. Not because of the tech specs or anything, but because it looked considerably smaller. It looked like a smaller physical object, and I was like, accidentally. I hope you're having a good Choomsday night. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're feeling better. Panic attacks suck. There we go. There we go. Yeah, hair is pretty smooth overall. Oh, do them. Yeah, I hope you can have a chill rest of the night. Just add a little split off there. You know me, I do love my straight hairs. I do think it's very, very close. I don't know, maybe we can finish it tonight. What should we do for the background, though? Time the panic attack. We'll have to pass my panic defense. I'm glad you specified Fahrenheit because 49 Celsius would be a very, very different experience. I have an idea. I have an idea. Darker. There you go. Let's also crop this down. I think we just don't need this whole like bottom space, right? Personally, I think Fahrenheit makes more sense for a human experience. I think the numbers are smaller. I think you have a bigger range of comfortable temperatures, whereas with Celsius, you really only like have a comfortable range of like 15 degrees maximum. I think in a lot of ways it just makes more sense to use Fahrenheit. Obviously not for like scientific purposes, but for the weather. Sorry, I dropped my pen. Ah, there we go. No, I mean that's what I started with, so makes sense, but might still work actually. No, let's leave it like that. It only makes more sense to you because you grew up with it. Alright. Have a good night, mage. Hope you get some good rest. I'll see you next time. Everyone say good night. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose that's fair. Okay, hide these for now. Okay, I want to try one more thing. Just to try it out. Oh, there's a little bit of jank in there that we could stand to clean up. We'll get to that. No, not that. God damn it. Here, just... There. There you go. Come on, there you go. You can do it. You know how to draw. You can draw a freaking star. God, could you imagine if I didn't even know how to draw a star? It's in my name. Granted, I can barely remember the kanji for it, but you know. Principle and all that. I think that works. That looks good. Okay, let's bring the reference back really quick because I just want to sort of see what the eye is doing. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we got a little bit of jank in there we could stand to clean up. A little bit right there. What the fuck? What am I doing out here? Okay, the rest of the edges look pretty clean. Oh, we got a little bit over here. We got a lot of it. What the fuck me? Okay. I feel like some of these edges just weren't showing up when we had the alpha background. This looks a lot rougher than it did a couple minutes ago. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to it. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, I do think we need to actually clean this area out a little bit. Just sort of the way that it is ended up shaping up, we can't really include that. Why are you still there then? Go away, Jesus. Get out my face. There you go. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Don't do that, please. Alright. Thank you, Knight. Hope you feel better. I hope you can get some really good rest. And I hope to see you next time. Everyone say goodnight. Let's see. Are we gonna... I think what we'll probably end up doing is starting off Thursday. By taking a look at this and just sort of seeing how we feel. See if there's any little areas that I do want to polish up. Maybe spend a little bit of time on it. And then we can move on to the next drawing. That seems like a good mix. I'll save the one more things for next time. I'm not gonna... I can't really stay up late on the weekday streams because I have work in the morning. So I do need to actually reliably close things down. The one more thing will come later. But there will always be one more thing. We'll come to the heat death of the universe and go, one more thing. Good. Lots of shades of dark. Yeah, cool. I'm just gonna clean up the pit of the neck a little bit. Oh, that's why. It almost sounds like Glorp singing. There we go. I often draw the pit of the neck. I'm just too dark in general. I have to come in and lighten it up some. Blend the shape a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I've been watching Connor and Chris on their cyclothon, and they're on day 9? No, it's day 11 now. Shit. I missed a couple of days. But they're off Hokkaido. They're on Honshu now. Making their way for Tokyo. Probably about done for the day now. But they've been making some really good progress, and they've raised over $500,000. Which is very cool. I'm always very impressed and very like satisfied. Satisfied is maybe the wrong word for it. I'm always very happy to see when people, you know, excuse me. 1 second. Sorry. I'm always very happy to see when people become popular, get a platform, get public awareness, and can sort of make movements like that happen. Oh, thank you for the head pats. You know, they use that platform to do something good, right? To raise awareness, to help people, to run charities. You know, just whatever they can do. I feel like we need that kind of energy. We need that kind of selflessness. So I always appreciate it when people are willing, are given that opportunity and seize it. Okay. Also, seeing those guys bike like 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers every day is like, holy shit. It inspires me to push my limits, to go further beyond. Or even just to, you know, maintain, right? Just to keep getting on the bike, keep moving, keep exercising. Doesn't have to be some big new record breaking every time. Just keep at it, you know? You keep at it, and then eventually you get to a spot where you're like, you know what? I can go farther. And then you do it. is that? What is that? Cool. Okay. It's looking pretty good. Realizing that the HUD is not lining up anymore. Okay, yeah. I fucked up. I fucked up. This needs to come down more like that, I think. Cool. Okay, so yeah, just bring that down like so. We're gonna get rid of some more of the prep. Yeah, that fits a bit better. Okay. So I think what I want to do, we're not going to get this done, but there's a few areas where stuff is kind of fading into the darker background, right? Like this nail's getting lost. We got a bit of rough edges along there. So I want to put like another half hour or so into it just to kind of polish it up a little bit more. Like some of the hair back here is getting lost. So I just want to do a pass of that. We're going to go for a few more minutes. We're not done just yet. But I do think tomorrow, I keep saying tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to start by finishing this one up. And then we'll sort of conclude it and roll into the next one in short order. Well, since I was over there, why don't we start there? Right, so just go for nail outline of the nail like that. So clean up this edge like so. There we go. Clean up the shape a little bit right there. And kind of come around like that. Yeah. I feel like that just gives it a nicer shape overall, better read. The fuck? There we go. It's always kind of weird when you get into these spots where it's like different shades of dark and the monitor is just like trying to render it and going, please, what do you want from me? There we go. Okay, and then let's go a couple more minutes just to add this in. I'll leave that alone for now because I want to clean up this area around the eye a bit. We might make some adjustments to the shape. Actually, I don't think we need to adjust the shape. I think we just need to clean up the mascara a little. Right, so if we come in, just kind of solidify that line. We can maybe pull this down a teensy bit. Yeah, she has these neat little like decal designs inside the eye, but I think I'm not gonna go for that. I think it's a small enough detail that for a speed piece like this, it doesn't really need to happen. Yeah, we've got a couple awkward little bits like this where we just gotta kind of come in and make sure that the eye is making sense all the way around, right? That the lower lid isn't like getting cut off or cutting anything off. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, cool. We'll add that in. Shrink it just a little bit. Perfect. Okay, cool. So merge that in. No. Oh, fuck. Okay. Okay, fine. Just do it like that. That's fine. Okay, and then we just need to bring a little bit of this. We're gonna go boop, boop, boop. Too bright. Cool. That looks about right. Okay. I think that's a good place to stop. We'll do that last pass on Thursday, sort of get some of that Fresnel lighting in. Right, get a little bit of that edge highlight just to help pop her against the background. And then we'll do our post-process pass, and it'll be good to go. And we can get started on the next one. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. But yeah, otherwise, thank you guys for the stream. Bit of a chaotic start because of you, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure something out. We'll see what we can do with it. Hopefully we'll find some manner of fix. Thank you guys. Thank you for hanging out. I'm glad you appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Appreciate is such a wrong word. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys making the stream, making it possible. I am bad with words. I am sorry. I'll let you guys know if I figure anything else out or if I come to any more plans. Like I said, I think I know which machine I'm gonna end up getting. Just kind of try and finalize decisions there. We shall see. Let's see. Who do we want to go say hello to tonight? Who's doing stuff? Who's working on stuff? Who's playing stuff? Let's see. Ooh, I think this is good. We have not rated Eve in a while. Eve is playing Wind Waker. I love Wind Waker. Good game. Good game. So why don't we go say hi to Eve? What should we do? Let's do a scuff raid tonight. It's been a little scuff. We got through it, and thankfully the stream was okay the entire time. It's just the whole setup reminds me, it's like, okay, the problem is not done, and in fact we are still very much trying to figure this whole thing out, but we'll get there. But yeah, thank you guys for being patient, for sticking with it, and for coming to hang out. I enjoyed it. Definitely would have been even more frustrating. I think I would have just sat there staring at Google results for hours if I didn't have a stream to do. So thank you for keeping me sane. Alright, let's go ahead and get that raid bus rolling. There we go. Oh, everyone say goodbye to YouTube. Bye bye, YouTube.